where I wanted to film a video about this because it's so personal to me, and I don't really have a lot of time either because I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom and my toddler barely sleeps during the day. She's actually napping right now and I'm really surprised. So I just wanted to hop on here and let you guys know what's going on in my life right now, and I'm hoping that other people will see this video that's going through similar things that I'm going through, and I just want to let you guys know that you're not alone. I feel really alone going through this, and it's not a good feeling. It's making me depressed. It's making me anxious. I want to be a good wife and I want to be a good mother to my daughter, and this is standing in the way of that. So I just wanted to make this video and let you guys know what's going on in my life right now. Okay, so what I've been going through, I guess we can go back to when I was pregnant with my daughter, Hannah. So in 2016, towards the middle of my pregnancy, I can't remember exactly when, I got diagnosed with gestational diabetes. That was a big shock to me. They told me I had to start a diet. I saw a nutritionist, and I thought it was going to be okay. I mean, it was a big lifestyle change. I mean, I cried a lot because I couldn't eat the food that I wanted to eat anymore. But I noticed when I started this diet, I had heart palpitations for the first time, and it literally scared me to death. I had my first episode, I don't remember when it was, but I know I was like sitting down and doing nothing and my heart just started racing. So it literally scared me to death. And I remember calling the doctor and like telling him what was going on. The doctor on call that night, and he was like, it's okay, it's normal, like if they don't go away and you feel like really dizzy, like come to the hospital. Well, I didn't feel dizzy and they went away after a few minutes. So after a while though, it just started getting like more, they started coming back more and more. So I would notice it like every couple days, and then it was like every day, mostly at night too, when I was like at rest. So I had an office job at the time, so I would sit at my desk all day. It would never happen. And then I would come home at night and be on the couch or laying in bed, and like boom, I would get heart palpitations. So when I flash forward to when I had my daughter, that night I went back to eating regular food because my doctor said, okay, you're good, you don't have gestational diabetes anymore, you can go back to eating normal food again. So that night that I had her, literally went back to eating normal food, and like the palpitations stopped. So my doctor had made an appointment with a cardiologist towards the end of my pregnancy, but since the palpitations stopped, I didn't go see the cardiologist. I just thought we both just like chalked it up to, you know, it was just your pregnancy and she was just pushing on things, and you know, it can happen. So 6 months later, I decided I wanted to start the gestational diabetes diet again, because I found when I was pregnant with her, I lost so much weight on this diet. I mean, I wasn't starving myself, but it was just a really low carb diet. So lots of, you know, veggies and salad and just normal things you eat when you're on a diet, just not fast food and not junk food. So when I was pregnant with her, I was like 194 when I found out I had gestational diabetes. And when I had her, like 2 weeks later, I weighed myself, I was like 164. I mean, it was amazing. So that's why I wanted to start the diet again. So I started the diet, and not even a week into it, the palpitations came back, boom, like automatically. And I remember that night, because I remember, and if you have heart palpitations, you know what I'm talking about. You have this feeling like you know it's gonna start. And I remembered sitting in the rocking chair, like Hannah's rocking chair, and I remember like texting my mom, and I remember telling her like, Mom, I feel like the palpitations are gonna start. And she's like, it's okay, just try and relax. So I remember just rocking back and forth, and it was just boom, came out of nowhere. And I was wearing my Apple Watch at the time, and I remember checking my heart rate, and it was like 154, and I was like, oh my God. And I just got up right away, and I didn't even wake my husband up, which I don't recommend ever driving to the hospital by yourself, but I was like in panic mode. So I drove to the hospital, and they put me on, did an EKG, and my heart was at like 180, which that's the highest it's ever been. So it was like at that rate for about 3 hours, and they didn't have to give me medicine. It went down on its own. I don't know why they didn't give me medicine, but they waited it out for 3 hours and it went back down. And I saw a cardiologist out here where I live. I live in Southern Illinois, and there's only one electrophysiologist, I think that's how you say the name, in my area. So every time I go through this and I go to the hospital, I end up having a follow-up appointment with him. So the very first time I met him was interesting, to say the least. Immediately, he let me know that what I was going through was called atrial flutter. So not a fib, but a flutter. So I didn't really know what that was. You know, I tried doing research about it, and they always tell you, like, don't Google like crazy because there's just so many different things out there. So he recommended a catheter ablation right away, and that scared me to death. I was so scared. I mean, I obviously started Googling about it, and he let me know, you know, what it entailed exactly. They basically, during a catheter ablation, I don't know exactly, but they go in through your groin and they basically send electrical pulses like to your heart to make it go into the A flutter. So they make me have heart palpitations, and I'm asleep during this, and they'll burn the tissue around my heart that's causing the flutter to happen. Well, my cardiologist also told me if I go into like too much of like sleep mode, that my heart will be like too calmed down where it won't palpitate for them. So they might have to wake me up during this non-surgery thing that they're doing, because they say it's not like a surgery. And that scared me even more. I'm like, what do you mean you're gonna wake me up? Like, no, I can't do this. So I ended up walking out of that appointment with him putting me on 25 milligrams of metoprolol. He said that being so young, I'm 30 years old, that being on heart medicine wasn't like the best idea, and that wasn't something that he wanted me to do. But since the palpitation, they weren't happening all the time, that he was comfortable giving me that medicine. So he said to take it if I start having palpitations. So I started doing more research, and I found out that taking the metoprolol only when I'm having palpitations isn't doing anything for me. Like, that wasn't gonna stop them from happening in the future. It was only gonna maybe slow my heart down while it was happening. And I was actually on like, I think the lowest dose of metoprolol anyways. So, but going forward, I ended up having tried to start the diet again like a few months later. I don't know, I've tried to start this diet like 4 times, just because it was so like, I just lost so much weight that I was just determined, like, I don't know what other way to diet. Like, I've never had a diet in my life. I've always had a high metabolism growing up. This is the first time in my life that this is like the most I've ever weighed. So I just feel like determined to lose weight. So with this diet, my doctor finally, like the second or third time I went to see him, because anytime I like get admitted into the hospital for heart palpitations, I have a follow-up with him. But anytime I would see him, it was just like, hey, like, yep, you have, you know, atrial flutter again, and you probably should get this surgery done. And I'm just like, no, I'm too scared to get it done. So this time he told me maybe it is the diet and I need to stop doing it. And I was like, okay. So I ended up trying to start the diet, I think a couple other times. It's so hard to keep track now because I've literally been in and out of the hospital so many times. But my heart rate has never been that 180. It's never reached that point. I've had about 3 episodes. Like, every time I tried to start the diet again, the palpitations came back within a week. So, and the palpitations never lasted more than a few minutes. It wasn't until this last time that they lasted a long time, and that put me back in the ER. So I decided that I wanted to get a second opinion. And I'm originally from Chicago, so my father, he also has a heart condition, and he doesn't have exactly what I have, but it's, you know, similar. He has a pacemaker, and he had like heart palpitations growing up. So I decided to go see his doctor, and immediately I clicked with him. because he didn't want me to get the ablation right away, which that made me feel good. He was like, I don't think it's necessary right now, but I also don't think you should be doing this diet. There's something messing with your system. So that made me feel good. I was like, okay, like there's a doctor out there that doesn't think that I need to get this ablation. It's unnecessary. So I ended up leaving that appointment and I felt really good. They put me on a monitor for a month, and during that month, I wanted to like try and diet, but I was scared. I was really scared. I did not want the palpitations to come back. And I also fractured my toe. Funny story. I won't get into that, but I fractured my toe, so I couldn't exercise or anything while I was wearing this monitor. They just wanted to see like how my heart was beating and everything. So I wore the monitor for the month, and I didn't exercise, I didn't diet, and nothing happened. So they ended up calling me and telling me that the results came back totally normal, and it made me feel good. But at the same time, I'm, like I said earlier, I'm at my breaking point. Like, I need to lose weight. I want to be healthy. My chances of getting diabetes goes up after having gestational diabetes, 50%. That's not where I want to be in my life right now. So a couple weeks ago, I decided that I was going to try the diet again. And I know you guys are all thinking like, oh my God, stop this diet. But I thought maybe I can trick my body this time, and I would just eat carbs on the side here and there. And I was about 2 weeks into the diet, and I felt great. I was exercising, and when I say exercising, I was like walking around my block 3 times and jogging on like the last block. So I felt great. And it was almost 2 weeks, and I was sitting on my couch watching TV. I just had like a snack or something, and my husband was outside, and the palpitations came back, and my heart was beating out of my chest. And when it happens, I always tell myself I'm going to stay calm, but if you get heart palpitations, you know, like you don't stay calm. You can't, like you freak out, you start pacing. I mean, I started pacing. I tried breathing deep. I tried different things. I tried a cold shower. Like I went outside, I grabbed my husband. I was like, listen, I'm having heart palpitations and I'm really scared right now. They're not going away. Normally they only last a few minutes, and they weren't going away. So I told him, which once again, I don't recommend ever doing, that I was going to drive to the hospital, because at the time my daughter was asleep. She was taking a nap and he was home with her. And I just said, stay here. Like, I'm gonna go like to the hospital, and I might admit myself. I'm not sure yet. I might sit in the parking lot. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So I ended up driving to the hospital and going in, and my heart rate ended up being, I think it was like 150, which was better than what it was the last time I was there when it was 180. But it stayed that way. I think it was like 2 hours. So that really, really, really bummed me out. They didn't have to give me medicine. I went back. My heart rate ended up slowing down on its own, but it was still super frustrating. So once again, I had a follow-up appointment with my cardiologist out here, and I'm pretty sure that's the last time I'm going to be seeing the cardiologist out here, because he's at the point where I've seen him a few times now where he's like, ablation, ablation, ablation. And I'm scared. I don't know if I can do it. So I ended up calling the cardiologist in Chicago and letting him know what happened. I sent him the results from the hospital. He wanted to know everything that they did, and that made me feel good. For some reason, the cardiologist here, I don't ever get to talk to him unless I have an appointment with him, which I know they're busy, but the cardiologist in Chicago actually called me, and he was concerned. He wanted to know what was going on, and he wanted to make it better, and that made me feel really good. So we ended up getting a plan together, and the plan was that I can still diet and exercise, but he was going to put me on 50 milligrams of metoprolol, instead of 25, and I was to take that every single day. And he also gave me flecainide, and he told me to take that if I have an attack. So the first week I took metoprolol, I feel like it could just be in my head, but instantly it made me super depressed. I mean, I was just down and I was not feeling good. I just was to the point where I didn't even want to get out of bed. I still exercised, I still dieted, but I felt like crap. And towards the end of the week, I started getting feeling like a really, really slow heartbeat. So when I say that, I mean like, you know, your heart's beating normal, and like mine was like stopping and like then being normal again and like stopping, and like I can feel it. So I called him to let him know, my cardiologist, what was going on, and he told me that, you know, that's normal, because I ended up taking my heart rate with my Apple Watch, and I noticed it was like 58, which my heart rate normally, having heart palpitations, is like in the 90s. So it was weird, but you know, he said it was normal being on that medicine. So I was like, okay, I'll just get through it. Well, last week, I feel like I started noticing like something new going on, and I've heard of PVCs. There's like different types, like I said, of heart palpitations. So I noticed that at night now, when I was trying to lay down, I can't catch my breath, and my heart's kind of like fluttering. So it's not having like fast palpitations, but it's like fluttering now, and it's driving me insane. Like I can't go to sleep until like 4 in the morning. I have to be like sitting up now in order to go to sleep, which is so uncomfortable for me. I'm sleeping on the couch, and I don't want to be doing that, but it's scary. And these aren't fast palpitations, but they're like, I don't know, they're just slow, and they like kind of feel like they're in my throat. And when I called the cardiologist again to tell him like it's still going on, he said that it could be PVCs. So that's another thing that you can get an ablation for. So we finally got to the point where he said that he thinks that an ablation would help me. So now I have 2 cardiologists telling me that I should get an ablation, and I don't know, I'm really, really scared. It's not a surgery, but there's risks with anything, you know. That's something getting done to your body that's not supposed to be getting done to your body. It's something foreign going in your body. You know, nothing is supposed to get done to your heart like that. You know, you're not supposed to burn tissue around your heart. It's not normal. It's not, you know, how you were made. So right now I'm trying to decide what I want to do. Like, do I want to live like this for the rest of my life, or do I want to get the ablation? And to me, it just seems like, you know, the good's outweighing the bad. If I get the ablation and they do end up being able to get all of this resolved, and they get to, you know, burn all the tissue that's causing my heart to palpitate and causing it to have these PVCs now, I will be able to drink caffeine again. And, you know, I haven't been able to drink caffeine since I was pregnant with my daughter. She's going to be 2 in December. I mean, I definitely feel like slow down and tired and run down all the time because I can't have caffeine. I'll be able to diet like I want to diet. I'll be able to exercise like I want to exercise. I'll be able to lose weight finally. So that, to me, it feels like it's outweighing the bad right now. So I'm at this point in my life where, you know, this is a big decision for me, and I'm scared, but I think it's gonna be good. At least I'm trying to convince myself that it's gonna be good. I just wanted to know if there was anybody else going through this similar thing that I'm going through out there. I know there's a lot of people that have heart palpitations, SVT, you know, PVCs, atrial fib, atrial flutter. I know there's so many different heart palpitations out there. I just want to know if there's anybody that's going through what I'm going through, and if you have any advice for me, and especially if you got the ablation done, because like I said, I'm really scared, but I'm mostly scared about them waking me up during the procedure. I've only had one thing that I've ever had to get put under for, and that was getting my wisdom teeth taken out, and that was truly like the scariest time of my life. So I'm pretty much like, I don't know. So that's what's going on in my life right now, and it's causing me to not be able to live my life the way I want to live it. Right now, I'm trying to write a book, and the only time I get to write this book is at night. And lately, I can't do that because the second it's like 8 o'clock, I know sometimes it's a mental thing, and you know, you get anxiety and you think about it and it's gonna happen. But I could not be thinking about it at all, and I'm just like sitting there on my phone, you know, trying to write, or, you know, on social media, and it starts happening. And last night, I really got to my breaking point because I had my husband put his hand on my chest, and I was like, feel my heartbeat. And he did. And when I told him when it would happen, I would like press on his arm to let him know what was happening. So it started happening, and I pressed on his arm, and he's like, I didn't feel anything. And like, we did that for like an hour. And so I don't know if like the PVCs are less noticeable. It just literally feels like my heart is in my chest, and it's just like off beat. It's just palpitating, but really slow. So I could talk about this for hours. I'm not going to waste any more of your time if you are watching this video. But like I said, I just feel like this is ruining my life. This is taking over my life. It's all I think about. It consumes me every single day. I'm depressed. I'm overweight. I don't know. I'm just not happy right now. So hopefully the next video I post will it'll be resolved. I'll get the ablation. I will definitely let you guys know what all that entails. I'll let you know how it went, how I did. So I think I'm gonna give myself a couple more days to decide if that's what I want to do, and then I'm just gonna get it scheduled and get it done, because I can't live my life like this anymore, and I can't keep being scared for my life. I can't keep thinking that I'm gonna die every single day and wondering when the next attack is gonna happen, and wondering like how long I'm gonna have with my daughter and with my husband, and just constantly scared. So thank you guys for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.